Hello, good morning, and welcome to the latest in a series of introductions to Meet the Head, and to tell you a little bit about life at Embley. I suppose the jumping off point is that everything we do here is predicated on the formation of children. I remember when asked once, what did I teach? I looked at the interrogator and said children. And it's a little bit twee. But the point needs to be made that somehow the pastoral care and the way we look after children is not an afterthought. It doesn't come after the academic stuff. For sure, you know, academic success is certainly not taken for granted, and our focus is hugely ambitious. But it's underpinned by the significant degree of pastoral care, the support and the challenge that we offer the children. I say support and challenge because pastoral care is about development. It's about encouraging children to be themselves. It's not about wrapping them up in cotton wool. It's not about hiding them away from the world. The role is really our role is to provide them with a vast menu of options, always within the extended family of Embley and the involvement of parents and so forth, so that their growth as human beings, as young men and women, is facilitated by what goes on in the classroom and what goes on without the classroom. But the bottom line is that it's always facilitated by the relationships we have amongst and between each other. I mentioned about parental support just a moment ago, and it's never more so than when we go ski racing competition in the Alps, and we take over a chalet and parents come ostensibly to help. I say ostensibly to help because they are a great help of support. During the course of the day, they help themselves to, skiing and so forth. In the evenings, they help themselves at dinner with the rest of us. So it's wonderful, but there is that sense of family. This is a session for you to hear a little bit from our professionals in the prep school and the senior school about how we get under the skin of not just pedagogy but adolescence and how we bring out the best in the children. It's not just about Kevin and Perry moments as they become adolescents and work their way through. In fact, it's anything but that. So let's start from the very youngest children. Sheina Wright is our head of prep, and Sheina is going to introduce what the pastoral care looks like in our prep school before handing over to Mrs. Goodey to talk about what that looks like in the senior school. So I'll come back for some Q&A at the end, but for now it's just straight across to Miss Wright. We'll hear a little bit about pastoral care and prep.
Thank you, Mr. Canning. My name's Sheina Wright. I'm the head of Embley Prep, and I want to focus on where it all begins. So establishing the right conditions for learning is perhaps the most important aspect of a happy prep school. A sense of belonging is key, and at Embley we prioritise the happiness and well-being of our children above all else. After all, happy children thrive. The well-being of our school community is both prioritised and planned for. So sometimes it can be hard to put your finger on what makes a happy community, but there are tangible ways of prioritising a robust and purposeful approach to well-being. So let's start at the beginning. If I could have the next slide, please. One of the loveliest aspects of working with young children is being a part of the way they see the world. The joyful hilarity of discovering a particularly wriggly worm, watching water spin round and round as it disappears down the plug hole, or their awe and wonder when they notice a pattern appearing in their learning. It's this awe and wonder which we build on and cultivate as our children move through Embley Prep. As well as teaching knowledge, we develop character through our approach. We prioritise the well-being and happiness of our children during the spontaneous moments, but also in a very deliberate way. If I could have the next slide, please. So I thought I'd share with you just some of the ways in which we plan through very deliberate practice. We connect with members of the school community every single day. One of my favourite parts of the day is welcoming parents and children from across the school each morning. Sometimes the simplest things can make all the difference. So simple, how are you? How was your weekend? Or just wishing somebody to have a good day. It maintains a positive connection, but also helps to support those who might be having a challenging start to the day. So if a child's had a bad night's sleep or forgotten some kit, they can share that with you and you can help them. It's also an opportunity to chat to parents too and iron out any issues before the school day starts. Equally, form teacher goodbyes at the end of the day allow us to finish off the day in a positive way and talk to parents on the door. Noticing and responding is also key. We pride ourselves on quick responses to what may seem like the smallest of problems. To notice a change in character or behaviour can be a good indication that one of our children requires some more support or a friendly ear. A child's perception is, after all, their reality, so children are encouraged to share any concerns or worries, and they're discussed or dealt with straight away. And this can often mean that a situation doesn't escalate into a bigger problem. Form teachers really know and are invested in the happiness and well-being of your children, so they know the children really well. And we know how important it is for children to build a sense of trust in their teachers. To feel that they're known well helps them to feel more happy and secure. Our approach means that young children don't zip between teachers from a very young age, as they can do in some other prep schools. At Embley Prep, they're taught by their form teacher for a number of lessons, right through to year 6, so that their teachers can really get to know them and to monitor how they're doing, what their interests are, the kind of day they're having, to help build their confidence and character. And this is achieved while also having senior school staff to deliver specialist teaching in subjects such as music, art, DT, MFL and sport. It's also about supporting children to navigate their way through the highs and lows of friendship. So we openly discuss self-awareness, particularly with older pupils, teaching them that what they do and say may impact others in a way that they haven't realised. Values and character, so our character-driven approach to school is shown particularly in assemblies, but throughout the school day. We have 2 assemblies a week, a values one and a celebration assembly. And this half term, our focus has been on kindness and trustworthiness. And part of my whole school message that we're part of something bigger, whether that means a school community, a whole school or a diverse world. We also have a whole school approach to behaviour, to be ready, respectful and safe, which Leah, I'm sure, will talk about in a moment. And this is shared with pupils at the start of the year and referred to throughout the year. That whole school approach continues on with visiting speakers, outstanding form tutors, a school counsellor on site, wellbeing weeks and an outstanding PSHE programme. If I could have the next slide, please. And of course, it is about that broad approach to school through a rich and varied co-curricular offer, trips and residentials, and children can try new things. They sharpen their skills and talents and develop confidence as they have a go and take risks in a safe environment. And of course, with a sharp focus on happiness and well-being, this is when the magic happens, when children can learn well, aspire and achieve. And on to the next slide and the final slide. So positive relationships provide a sense of security that makes it possible for children to express the exuberance and excitement characteristic of joyful learning. They also make it safe for children to identify challenges at which they might fail, pushing themselves to be the best they can be. Thank you very much. I'd like to now hand over to Leah Goodey. Over to you, Leah.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Leah Goodey. I'm the Assistant Head Pastoral in the Senior School. I'd like to just talk for a couple of minutes about pupil happiness and well-being. And for us at Embley, really at the very heart of pupil happiness and well-being is a sense of belonging. Pupils at Embley develop this sense of belonging to our community by having the opportunity to engage in a huge variety of different activities, both academic and co-curricular. When pupils join us, our Embley pupils embark on an adventure. They go out of their comfort zone, they challenge themselves, they go beyond what they think are their limitations, and they have the opportunity to become the best versions of themselves, and in doing so, find a true sense of happiness and well-being. Underpinning this is the Embley pupil profile. As a community, parents, staff and pupils have built the profile to describe the characteristics of the Embley pupil. All pupils undertake activities within the 4 pillars of mind, body, spirit and heart, and in doing so become authentic, knowledgeable, humble, reflective, principled, compassionate, open-minded, risk-takers, thinkers and collaborators. And hand in hand with this personal development goes our pastoral care. Our small tutor groups in all year groups allow tutors to really get to know their pupils and their families, of course, creating a really strong home-school pupil relationship. In the senior school, the pastoral team is comprised of the tutor, the head of section, and we have heads of section in year 7, years 8 and 9, years 10 and 11, and the sixth form. Also part of the pastoral team are the heads of boarding, matrons, and the school counsellor, who all work closely together, and with me, the assistant head pastoral and safeguarding lead. It is, of course, our priority to ensure the happiness, well-being and safety of all our pupils so that they can thrive in all areas of school life. Sheina mentioned our code of conduct, which is just 3 words: ready, respectful, safe. Easy for everyone to get to grips with and means that we can get the best from all our pupils. Tutors especially, and all our members of staff, help our pupils to set targets and to reflect on progress in order to become the best versions of themselves, so that they can realise their academic potential and have confidence and belief in themselves and compassion for all around them. Of course, wellbeing is a hugely important aspect of pastoral care, and we cover wellbeing in the curriculum, within PSHE lessons, during tutor time, and Year 7 pupils undertake a series of emotional literacy workshops with the school counsellor, which we are looking to roll out as well. But we also encourage pupils to attend to their wellbeing in their wider school life, so through PE and games and our co-curricular offering, as I mentioned before. Pupils are encouraged to undertake volunteering, and some go down to the prep school to engage with the little ones down there or in nursery, and this is something that we are continuing to build on. We also have themed weeks such as Anti-Bullying Week and Wellbeing Week, which sometimes involve pupils coming off timetable to take part in workshops and listening to guest speakers. Recently, we have had talks on mental health, managing the pressures of life, online safety, sleep and resilience. And this is extended to our parents and carers too, in a bespoke series of talks to help you find out more about how to support your children through some of the different stages of their academic and emotional development. Our most recent parent talk just a week or so ago was on managing change positively. We bring in specialists from the various domains to lead workshop sessions covering topics which we feel are currently most relevant to our pupils and parents. And this programme will continue to expand and evolve over the coming terms and years, with the aim that you feel supported through some of the challenging issues that you may face with your children. And now I'd like to hand back over to Cliff.
Well, thanks, Leah. So there's an opportunity now to address some questions. So there's a couple of questions that seem to come to mind. One was around the relationship of individuals and families to the tutor. The tutor is the pivotal person in the relationship between school and home, and very often the first point of contact, sometimes about things as mundane as forgotten PE kit, or can you remember how, to remind someone to come for a dentist appointment, or whatever it might be. But beyond the prosaic to the more profound, they're the person who's intimately connected with your son and daughter and charts their progress through school. Heads of section then get feedback from tutors, and then I'm intimately involved with how the children are developing. Question around settling in, of course. The majority of our children start in the prep, will come through into the senior school and into our sixth form. But Embley is essentially a very warm, happy, friendly place. Children are given a buddy as they arrive new. We're very familiar with children coming even mid-year. A number of our families come through either IBM or ExxonMobil or British American Tobacco, where executives are being transferred over and back through the globe, across the globe rather, through the year. So we're quite comfortable and ready to deal with the children who are entering school mid-year or so forth. So that sense of family extends to the next issue is around boarding. We're effectively a day student. 80% of the students who come are day students and 20% board. But the boarding family, their life is normalised by interaction with day students and the over and back that goes with that. With regard to pastoral care is everybody's responsibility. It's not a responsibility of a particular team. As I said at the start of this, the teachers here teach children first and their subject is second. Sheina made the observation that happy children thrive, but sort of happiness begins in the moment, and happiness doesn't mean having everything you want. It means having an appropriate challenge, having something to look forward to, having something that actually engages them and maybe offers them a horizon that actually encourages them to stretch just beyond where their reach actually runs. But the underpinning of all of that is a commitment to humility, keeping your feet on the ground, and nothing is too big or too small for everyone to be involved with. We're old-fashioned, and I don't make any apology for that. I think it's something like integrity and being responsible and being a truth teller and, you know, being accountable for your actions and being the person that you are. These things are old-fashioned maybe for a good reason. They stand the test of time, and that's what we instill in our children. There was, I think there was a question around, was it PSHE, Charlotte? Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a couple of questions and a couple of questions offline actually. So perhaps if I.
Sorry, good.
Sorry, so yes, perhaps if I ask Mrs. Goodey first the question that we've had regarding PSHE, and how many lessons do they have per week, and then there's another question perhaps you could answer about tutors and whether students have the same tutors, for example, from year 9 to year 11.
Yes, so in the senior school, pupils have one lesson of PSHE every week. In years 7 to 9, that takes place in curriculum time. In years 10 and 11, that takes place in tutor time in the morning. So in actual fact, they'll have more sessions during the week, but they'll be shorter sessions. In terms of tutors, usually pupils will have different tutor each year. That said, tutors tend to stay the same between years 10 and 11. We have to remember that the head of section provides the continuity between years. So we have the head of section for year 7, and pupils will have their tutors in year 7. As they move into year 8, they will likely have a new tutor and they will have a new head of section, but that head of section will stay with them through year 8 all the way into year 9. And again, that will happen when they move into year 10. They'll have a new head of section and a new tutor, but the head of section will stay with them all the way through into the end of year 11, and likewise into sixth form as well.
Thank you. And then I've had another question offline regarding, or just asking perhaps for a bit more detail about the programmes that we have in place to help safeguard our children against such things as drink, drugs, illicit content online, that sort of thing.
Yes, absolutely. So some of this will come under our Wellbeing Week. Indeed, last year for Wellbeing Week, we had a number of guest speakers, and of course we choose carefully which year groups the guest speakers speak to ensure that messages are age appropriate. But for some of our older pupils, we had a talk about the consequences of drug taking and addiction. Our sixth form pupils often each year go to a specific show which is designed to talk about the dangers of poor driving as they start to get to that age where they are undertaking their driving lessons.
So following on from what you've just said, another parent has asked about the programmes that we have around equality and diversity.
Of course. So in actual fact, last year we had the whole of the senior school off timetable for a diversity conference, which was fantastic, and we had a huge number of guest speakers into the school to speak to all the different year groups on a huge diversity of themes. So we had Amnesty International, for example. We had the Good Lad initiative coming in. We also had somebody coming in to talk to pupils about mental health. So that was a hugely successful day, and meant pupils were able to come off timetable and really concentrate on that particular issue for the whole day. Equality and diversity, we have an inclusion and diversity committee. This is made up of a group of representatives from each tutor group in the senior school, and they come together regularly to discuss issues, and they help to manage events and assemblies, for example, to spread the word and to spread messages that of equality and diversity within the school. And this is something that we are hoping to build on even more this year. Oh, I think I've just popped up again. Sorry if you lost me for a while there.
That's okay, the lovely Microsoft. Hopefully we're all back now. And just one final question. Well, I've got two questions actually, but perhaps building on that even further, a question about what our approach is to preventing and dealing with bullying.
Absolutely. I think Preventing bullying is about making sure that everybody understands and really truly appreciates the amazingness and the importance of diversity in any community, and we really embrace that here. We have pupils from all over the globe. As Mr. Canning has said, 20% of the school are boarders, and those boarders come from all different places, and they really are fully integrated in the day school, and so that is a huge thing for all of our pupils here. We get to know and get to find out about lots of different people, where they come from, their culture, and their beliefs, and that helps us to become more tolerant, accepting and understanding of all different types of people. And so that's the beginning, I suppose, of preventing bullying is tolerance, and that's a message that we are continually passing to pupils, both through our themed weeks, through assemblies, through PSHE, through the curriculum. Of course, there will be times when things go wrong, and we absolutely will always tackle those issues. We'll be in contact with you at home, and our approach is one of is restorative. We don't seek to punish without due course. We seek to improve things, so we seek to improve people's understanding of a situation and why they perhaps acted like they did and what they could do better in future. So restorative conversations are what underpin our dealing with any situation like this.
Thank you. And I've got a question about Ready, Respectful, Safe, and perhaps if I go to Miss Wright in the first instance, just to question around what does this actually mean in practice? So what happens on a day-to-day basis to put this in place?
Okay, and what's lovely is it's something that Leah's rolled out in senior school, which actually has been filtered down and presented at inset and then introduced to the children. So it's being ready for lessons, being organised, being respectful to others, and having that sort of approach to each other, that there's a sense of self-awareness, and as Leah said, you know, that our approach to pastoral care before, you know, anything escalates and gets to the bullying stage, actually, that the smallest incidents or problems are dealt with sort of straight away, but the children understand that they need to be respectful to each other. And then safe, obviously part of this actually has been changed and looked at with COVID times, to make sure that the children understand not just to be safe around each other, but actually how to look after each other in the community more widely by sanitising hands, washing hands, and all of the different practices that we have in place, which we've worked hard to sort of plan for, but it just makes the day run smoothly and for school to feel as normal as possible, but also as safe as possible.
Thank you. Mrs. Goodey, did you have anything to add to that from a senior school perspective?
As Ms. Wright said, it's the same code of conduct all the way through the school, which is wonderful. It's really clear and simple for everybody. And as staff, we try to use that language as much as possible, so that we are continually drip feeding this idea of ready, respectful, safe. So we will use that language in commendations, for example. When a pupil does something really great, we will say, you know, really respectful, interactions with other pupils, and that kind of thing. So they really understand that these are things that the qualities we're absolutely looking for in them. So yeah, clear and simple for all, and a whole through school approach to the code of conduct.
Wonderful. And I think that's the end of the questions, Mr. Canning.
Lovely, very good. Well, I should say thank you very, very much for the time to join us this morning. Thank you very much for those who sent in questions. I have a sense that we started to scratch the surface of something that you're thinking about. I know when I came here, the school was, I mean, I got the sense that we are a rural school in Hampshire, and certainly taking the world and the issues of the world into this environment, because that's the children are leaving us to go into that world. The preparation we offer them around core values. I think you can deal with a lot of the issues that have come up by being mindful that actually I have a value in myself and others have a value in themselves. that it's imperative that I am appropriately respectful of the others as we go about our business. And really the only way I can come to fruition in myself is in relationship with others. There's something I wrote last week. I think Charlotte's put it on the website that floats some ideas around that. But be that as it may, there's a very strange light in the sky outside my office. I think it's the sun. It's a break, a tiny moment break in what has been a cloudy and stormy few days. I hope your day is wonderful. I hope you are very fulfilled. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thanks to my colleagues for presenting a sense of what Embley's about. These are odd times. Ordinarily, we would have you in school to do all of this, but one way or the other, we hope to see you very soon. So for me and for us, it's bye-bye, good morning, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.